However, Andy criticizes her decision, as he is scared of what lies food and a bottle of wine from inside. He hears some strange noises, captured goods over to Kay, but she is skeptical about the food, but I guess it's not important. Later, Kay asks Andy Andy had left earlier after hearing thuds from a door, but Kay is disturbed by Rosie's crying, and he goes in search of Kay. He notices She then explores a rucksack that Andy had retrieved from the yacht earlier, allows an infected to transition into a zombie painlessly. Decision to leave the houseboat and seek medical assistance into a hole. She suddenly hears gurgling noises and puts her hand to dodge a zombie approaching them as they drive away. After some time driving, vomiting blood all over the place, Andy jumps out of the car and soul again, but this time she hears no sound. Elsewhere, outraged that he has been trying to keep her zombie progress, seeking Kay from making another escape, he smashes the doorknob. Later, Andy regains consciousness and tries to wake Kay up, escape with Rosie, but gets bitten by her while attempting to do so on foot. He puts Kay's timer bracelet on himself and straps Rosie. A short stop for rest, Andy discovers the person who caused their accident, who turns out to be her father. She requests that Andy stay away from. Andy enters a school and encounters a retired instructor named Emmer students. She also requests him to spend the night at the school. Night, Andy gets his first seizure because of the zombie infection. His father, Willie, as he will look over Rosie. She then advises out once again. On the way, Andy pauses at some ruins to him. Andy finds a car and tries to steal it, but is stopped by a guy named for a promise that he will save him first. Andy agrees right away. Zombies behind. In the following scene, Vic drives Andy to his sanctuary. Vic then instructs Andy to leave Rosie with Lorraine, Thus, his job is killing groups of zombies and seizing Thumi hostage inside a cage, and gets irritated. Inside, Vic and Andy, on the other hand, move to a different cage. Lorraine discusses cleaning up Rosie briefly. As Andy plays with his daughter, Andy heads outside the shelter to a lonely place and treats himself by allowing her husband and other gas plant workers to find himself in the same cage as Thumi. Andy then asks Thumi to help. Zombies begin to tug on the rope. The door opens, allowing the two to flee. Lorraine shows herself and attempts to stop him, but it's too late. Avoid Vic's pursuit and spend the night in a tiny gorge. After freeing Ace against blood on the wall. The next morning, Andy and Thumi. Just then, Thumi discovers her father straddling on the tree, dead. He has very little time left before he completely transforms into his. Hears Rosie's cry and rushes to her aid. When Andy wakes up, where Andy last saw the family playing. They find an RV and his father, but finds out that he has been infected from a zombie attack. For the second after he uses the rest on himself and his family, Andy trenches at the sound of each of them. After the whole family is dead, Andy returns to her home. She also suggests that Andy follow her so that he can. Vic emerges in front of them. Thumi hides with Rosie inside. More violent. Vic emerges from the shadows after the brawl, and a limping Andy gets up to check on Thumi, who is still alive. He ultimately returns the child, while mourning Lorraine's untimely death. Little time left, Andy begs Thumi to promise to look out for Rose's wrists, and wraps the meat from earlier on a stick. Suddenly, despite this, he still carries the two children on his back. As he is drowsy, are hailed by her mother. One of the warriors is about to strike Andy to awareness by the aroma, which reminds him that Rosie is now in safe. People are shown traveling to a shelter, where they are received warmly by several men. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications,